Hello world, today is Tuesday, March 4th, 2026. It's around 11:30 a.m. and this is another vlog, a 10 minutes raw unedited talk about what is top of mind. And usually I talk about the highest, most important things I learned or discovered or did in the last 24 hours. What's been top of mind is last time I talked a lot about like how there's this critical insight about digital humans, like AI agents is like data in, data out, and that's how you generate value. So really, this is the time for me to really get straight on like what's the most important thing, the priority. And I think the most important thing for me today is like getting really solid on like what I'm about. I think that the most important thing for augme.world today is like perfecting the social media content pipeline, making it fully automated. And that means like doing brainstorming research so that you just pick the topics you want to explore. It gives you a brainstorming, does market research about the current trending topics about your niche. And then you pick one or a couple. Then you schedule all that, schedule that post. How it works is like you pick the topic, then it does the research for you, and then creates the content, and then it schedules it, and then it checks the analytics. And there's this flywheel effect, and it tracks and has a specific KPI, and that goes into every single area of its decision making, so that it's able to feed that loop back in, and that's how you have this compounding effect. And like just putting that into place is so important. Putting that into place is so important because that's amplifying your abilities in an augmented way. So this was really the vision I started with like last year in ECC and putting that into crypto. And I think that's really the amazing part, what I can do and like put that on World Mini app. And so this really is the big vision. Like I have the .world domain, and that's very important to have to really drive this forward. And I came up with this idea last fucking year, and now I have to focus on this. And so it's focusing on the world app, focusing on this crypto payments, like you pay for the hosting. And like, so this is really important for me to like really define this, that it's a full pipeline of social media content. And the thing is, like I was wondering how I can be creating apps or launching new apps every day, because as an artist you are really creating like a diary of yourself. Like this is a diary, and you find this motivation by like, oh, this is who I am, I identify with this, and this is how I express myself through this. This is how I know who I am, by remembering myself, by seeing these parts. This is how I'm crafting myself. An artist is really an artist of their own story, and they are finding the loops that allow them to navigate the world and to make this magic. And how they do that is they have to find some way to use art and technology to bring attention to themselves, to their work. But the only way to do that in a good way is by providing some value, by discovering something about the nature of the universe, by bringing something to the world. And they need to have this courage, but also they need to have this this scientific mind, and actually be like providing value. If they're parasitical or a nuisance, then they are just going to be booed off stage, and they're going to be prevented from performing or getting an audience. But so the thing is, like, you have to have the craft, but also you have to have the audience. But really, you are it's about the craft, it's about the product, it's about the work of art, the movie, the output, right? And for me, it's like very clear for me to have very important for me to have a system, a holistic system that keeps me on track. And how that works is by having the knowledge base, having a discoverability, having schedules, having routines, having these system processes. This is the critical piece. And that happens. So for example, like so many things, opportunities just pass you by because you don't notice them. And so it's very important to be able to capture them. So it's very, very, the world is very noisy, but like the thing is you really have to, you have to know how to prioritize, and you have to know what is the critical piece, what is the roadmap. For me, like right now, it's the social media pipeline, doing YouTube, doing interviews, doing tutorials, doing the skills, like the Larry skill. That's very important, that you are able to create these skills regularly. As different apps. So it's about the Larry skill. The Larry skill is the social media content engine. But you have to have this Larry skill and keep it going. So you have to have that built in, like refine all the pieces of it, and all working together as a schedule, as a planned thing. And how it works is you have to have a the skill that is called a cron job. And so that's the real insight there, is that you have to have the structure of the Google Drive, and you have to have style guides that you keep updating, and and then you need to have the KPIs, and like that's very, very important. And like for me, that's like super important that I like repeat this. Like it's the world is very noisy, but like you have to know exactly what you're focusing on, where you're going to put your attention, because it's very critical to know what you're emphasizing and what you're going to not emphasize, and you have to know what you're going to put your time into, and what's really going to pay off for you. So right now for augme.world, the most important thing is to be creating this workflow, creating this folder structure, creating these loops. So for me, it's really about repeating this every day, and like stand up and whatever. Like you have to bring out the most important thing. You have to be critical about what you're working on, what you're focusing on, and that's the opportunity to do that on the stand up. You have to be able to do that, and you have to be able to repeat that and know exactly what is the roadmap, what is the most important thing. Beware of diluting yourself or distractions. You have to know exactly what the cost of that distraction is. You have to know, like, that's very expensive. You cannot afford to do that. You have to really focus and have laser focus. So it's all about being clear about what you're doing. What is your priority? What is it? What you're trying to achieve. So being clear about that is super, 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 super important. So that's 10 minutes. I think that is like really good stand up. It's like, or it's a vlog. And I think the key insight is like focus on the social media engine content pipeline, and the personal and the folder, the knowledge base infrastructure. So like just really put focus on how to make this really great. So ending it here. Thank you for listening. As always, signing off with sending good thoughts, frequencies, and vibrations to you. May you be free from suffering. Peace.